They managed to assemble a bit of a welcoming committee in time. A fair few of the people who had only just made it back inside to warm up came out once more, most not looking very happy about it. Sapphire had snuck a hot stone from the kitchen to keep under her shirt behind her back, wrapped up in cloth, of course, so she didn't burn herself. Grevy had come down in a dignified fashion, landing in front of Baron, who for his part was sitting proud. She had been flying in formation with most of the construction crew, while herself carrying what looked to be tools and various bits of equipment for them. The Green was as prim and proper as ever in her shining armour. The water was beading off it and the thick fur lining the edges was soaked through. Despite her parade stance, it was evident that she was glancing around with a little confusion, likely expecting at least Jarrex to be there.
"Greetings, Grevy. Did your trip go well?"
Baron opened, drawing her attention back to him.
As well as it can this time of year. Cold and rainy.
"An excuse to simply fly harder,"
the old red replied with a deep frown, Zav taking it for amusement.
Of course, sir,
Grevy replied with a quick duck of her head.
I say, where is Jarrex? And I presume Taekwon is running late?
"Quite the contrary. He was the first to arrive. Alas, the two are now conversing elsewhere."
Oh?
Grevy replied in a surprised tone, not seeming to have worked out just why that might be.
"Taekwon needed a little alone time, but you know as well as any he cannot be allowed too much."
I understand, of course. But yes, I am pleased to report that all souls present at the keep are here and accounted for. Did you finish it?
The small yet equally tactful voice of Lothal spoke up. The young man who was to inherit the keep as the oldest living member of his line, or at least the oldest they knew of. 11-year-old lord and nothing but children under him, Sapphire sighed to herself. There had been rumours that he had family in the city. They had even feared that some might show up to oversee the construction and start either staking their claims to the keep or getting Lothal under their influence, but none had come, for better or worse. Thus, the young man had been under Dakota's tutorship, learning what he could as quickly as possible about how to run a keep.
Yes, Lord Highstall, I am pleased to report that the internal skeleton has been re-established and the roof holds water. The floors are mostly complete, and there are several rooms yet to be constructed, but the keep is habitable.
A bunch of gruff-looking construction workers made some grunts of approval, though the foreman didn't seem too pleased with not getting to deliver the news himself.
Thank you, Grevy. You will always have a warm place at Highstall, and thank you, he carried on, looking to the construction crew. Some of them shrugged, others nodding.
"Just doing our job, kiddo. Though losing the sword did slow us down a bunch."
I understand, Foreman, but it was needed here.
"Aye, we got the message on that one, loud and clear,"
the foreman replied in a less than comfortable fashion. Sapphire, guessing the Inquisition had framed the proposition of acquiring the saw rather bluntly.
Yes, I do apologize for the behavior of our friends within the Inquisition. They too are under a lot of pressure,
the 11-year-old replied very diplomatically, which did leave the foreman with a rather odd look on his face.
"Aye, that they are, I suppose," he replied,
as one of his crewmen tapped him on the shoulder and pointed to the group of people standing behind the nook. Saf quickly looked over and couldn't see anyone, but she guessed Paulin was probably over there somewhere. The crew chief promptly shut up and just nodded to the kid.
"We'll see about finishing up next year, but maybe that'll be for another crew. I don't know what we got waiting back in the city."
If you are available, I would be happy to request your services again, Lothal replied with a courteous nod. I apologize, Grevy, if I have intruded enough. He carried on, looking to the dragon with a nod and stepping back to stand proud next to Dakota.
Dakota, for her part, looked very pleased with the young lord's performance, standing at attention herself. The dragon gave him a courteous nod in reply, the respect seeming mutual as she looked at the Nook's group herself.
Yes, Lady Bizmati, I request permission to stay the night.
You may stay till weather permits passage, the Nook replied in a kind tone. We have arranged a fine dinner today, following our last hunt. I apologize for the absence of some of our number. They are busy with preparations.
I understand. How are your wounds? It is my understanding that they were most severe.
I am healing. Slowly, but alas, I will never fly again. I count my blessings it happened in my latter years rather than my younger ones.
I am very sorry to hear it, Lady Nanook. A dark day indeed.
Luckily, I have 2 children ready to take my place. Bizmati will stand tall for many years to come, even without me in the skies.
I am sure your successors will be no less skilled, nor noble. But I have kept you long enough. The weather is cruel. Please, seek shelter.
Thank you, Grevy. Yes, it is quite cold. I am sure Jarix and Tiguan will return soon, the lady replied, as she turned back towards the keep.
She would have to walk back up since she had no wings, and Sapphire was quite sure she wasn't going to be trying a running takeoff with anyone just for that. Grevy sat and watched in regal fashion like she usually did, turning to glance at Baron. Sav guessing she wanted to see if the old red approved of whatever she was up to. That has seemed to be a pattern in the capital and during the initial flight to Bizmati all those months ago, after all. Baron, however, didn't seem entirely satisfied with her, giving a quick rumbling cough to Grevy's evident confusion. The old red coughed again, a little louder, and eventually gave a side nod towards the old lady who was making her way towards the stairs and coughed for a 3rd time, loud enough that Nanook and her little retinue, consisting mostly of just Dakota and Lothal, turned around to see what might be up. It finally dawned on Grevy what he wanted her to do, as she stood back up to all 4s.
Oh, my apologies, Lady Nanook. Why don't I bring you up inside to spare you the stairs?
At that, Baron grumbled more agreeably, giving a little nod, much to Grevy's evident delight. Tom had been forced to keep his promise, and get off Tiguan's snout as the big old black softly had unfurled himself to stick his head out towards Ray, the woman giving Tiggy the best snout hug she could manage. There had been a bit more whimpering and sobbing as they both did their best to assume blame for what had happened. It was both heart-wrenching and heartwarming. Ray had improved, but there was still a lot of work to do, and the same was clearly true of Tiguan, more so than Tom had thought. Tom did not for a second believe Tiguan had lied, which meant he had killed his own mother, and it had clearly not been by accident. He knew for a fact that neither Jarix nor Grevy had ever killed a fellow dragon, nor even fought one outside of training, unless they were sitting on more secrets than he knew about. Maybe that was why Tiguan had been chosen to be placed under Baron's tutelage. Grevy was down near the perfect soldier right out the box, and she would not deign to anything less than perfection. Jarix was believed by most to be the fastest dragon alive. Morena, from what Tom had managed to pick up, had been massive for her age. A proper powerhouse, even if they had failed to tame her temper. But why Tiguan had been chosen had confounded him. The Black Dragon was far too soft to make a good soldier, or so he thought at least. Now it seemed there was something a little harder, hiding under the play uncle facade. He knew battle and hardship, yet it hadn't broken him. That must be why he was picked to be among the best. It was hard to reconcile the two halves as Tom watched him and the crippled Ray try to make up their differences, the dragon doing his best to try and nuzzle her, which near enough knocked her from Jarix's back.
Careful now, don't knock her off,
Jarix chuckled, as Ray ended up clinging to Tiguan's snout to hold her balance. Oh, sorry, Tiguan went, ear swinging back as he pulled away. Tom was about to curse to himself again when Ray did the decent thing and got herself together. The crippled woman stood up and, as the dragon tried to pull his head away, she leapt. A true leap of faith right onto the dragon's head. Tiguan, of course, froze, looking at her all cross-eyed, which did look quite hilarious. Tom let out a sigh of relief.
You are not allowed to go anywhere,
Ray declared as she hugged the dragon. Tiguan grew a nice warm smile as she did.
Oh, someone didn't just make a friend, I think. Congrats on the best friend, Tiggs,
Jarix said with a chuckle, seemingly quite happy to see the Black Dragon smile.
Now, why don't you get your present already? Definitely not so I don't have to carry it around.
Oh, right, you said that. What is it? Tiguan questioned, as Ray moved to the top of his head so he could see again.
I got you a tarp for when it rains,
Ray said, pointing at Jarix's back. Oh, thank you, Tiguan replied, with what seemed to Tom like genuine enthusiasm.
Folds up nice and comes with a rope harness to tie it to the rigging, so you don't have to spend 1,000 years to package it up,
Jarix added, looking back at the tarp which was just laid out over his back.
Well, that bit is back of the keep, actually. But hey, you can go bareback with it too, I guess.
Tiguan snickered a little, as he took a few steps to come around so he could get a better look at this tarp he'd been gifted. Oh, is it new? It smells like it.
Yes, Archie and Volsum bought it in the capital just for you. Made to measure and everything,
Ray added enthusiastically, overjoyed that Tiguan liked her present. But how did you afford that? They are quite expensive. It is waxed cloth, too, and very thick.
Oh, we got paid so much money this year here. It was only right. I wouldn't be here if not for you.
Oh, you shouldn't have.
Shut it, Tiggs. Enjoy the gift. Heavens know you could use a few here and there.
Jarrex interjected with a chuckle. That part got Tom thinking as well. Jarrex had said that the scraps of armor he had for covering the most vital areas, like his wing shoulders, neck, and head, had been gifts from his mother. Grevy's full set was passed down from her sister. Tiguan didn't have a scrap of metal on him, save for the buckles of his harness. It was a very nice harness indeed, and the saddle definitely stood out as unusual. And he had a HFY in the saddle. He didn't buy that, did he? He's broke as fuck, Tom concluded, thinking back to what Jarrex had said about pay. While in the capital, they hadn't received much at all. It was only once they had graduated and been sent on deployment that they had started earning some real money. Money which Tiguan wouldn't have had a chance to receive yet. I guess Ray isn't the only one getting her first taste of actual coin. Tom chuckled to himself warmly, as the dragon kept inspecting his gift, even though it was just some waxed cloth with rope eyes in it. Can I take it with me to the capital, or does it have to stay here? He questioned, raising his head and looking up, unable to quite look at Ray.
It is yours. You can take it wherever you want, Ray said happily.
Oh, I could set up my own little place at the training field. Maybe if I get some very large tent poles, I can make do even without any trees or cliff sides.
Could also just lay on it so you don't get dirty soaking up all that sun we're sure to get all winter.
Jarrex went sarcastically.
But hey, if you feel like a picnic or something, I guess it's grand. Don't know about you, but I wouldn't be planning on sleeping too much this winter if I was going back.
Oh, no, I want to save my coin. Food is very expensive in winter, Tiguan replied with a nod, Tom listening intently. Jarrex had decided on staying the winter, which was bound to be an advantage for them at the keep. But did it make him wonder if, maybe, he should have headed home? Was that like a dragon getting shore leave? Getting to run around the streets of a big city and spend what money they had made? Jarrex had been awarded some leave after the Battle of Deriva. He remembered that much. The dragon had said he wished to use it to stay at Bizmati Keep, rather than have time off at home. And since his stationing was made permanent, Tom guessed the Blue would either be saving up said leave for later, or maybe just getting it paid out.
Suit yourself. Just don't spend it all on alcohol, eh?
Oh, no, I would never, Tiguan replied with conviction. The dragon suddenly grew a little uncomfortable again, Tom grasping at straws as to what the hell was wrong this time. Like, honestly.
Don't you dare. You're not allowed to look sad for at least another hour,
Jarrex ordered, with some mirth in his tone. Oh, no, it isn't that. I was thinking of giving some of it away.
Bro, you want to give away your first proper round of pay?
Jarrex responded, somewhere between disappointed and just straight up taken aback. Yes. Dragons make a lot of money. There are a lot of people who need help during winter.
Dude, we make a lot of money because it's fucking expensive to be a dragon.
I know, but if I sleep through most of the winter, then it isn't so bad. We can stay at the training fields for free.
Yeah, in a shared stables. Hey, Yields, why ain't he staying at the mansion like Baron does?
Jarrex questioned, looking to the lieutenant who was still keeping quiet, apparently happy to let the rest of them handle cheering the big black baby up. Baron has his own cave. He only stays at the mansion when appropriate.
Well, all the more reason to let Tiguan have the spot, don't you think?
I suppose I can put in a good word. He will hardly have privacy there either. No, it is fine. They are very busy at the HFYs. I can see to myself at the fields just fine.
Or you could, rent a spot somewhere that's a bit nicer,
Jarrex reiterated. Yelts?
What does it cost to rent a small space to sleep through winter? You are 10 tons, Tigwan. It will not be that small. Maybe 50 gold for the winter? At this short notice, 40 if you were lucky. 50 gold? No, I will find someplace else. I'm only getting 180 for the whole deployment, no? I believe that was the number, yes. Yules confirmed. 180? I got 200 and that was when I was still supposed to come home for winter. Oh, but you went a little sooner than we did, remember? Ah, fair, I suppose. I wonder if I'm getting full pay all winter. That would be pretty sweet. Actually, yeah, Tigwan? Tom spoke up, both dragons turning to look at him. Why are you heading home for winter? I have to. Those are my orders. That and I will be able to bring some things back for them next spring if I am posted here again. Ray looked up at that, seemingly news to her. You might not come back? Oh, we are quite confident we will be. One of the two ground crew spoke up. Well, he will. If we are coming along depends on if he's been happy with us. Oh no, I would be happy to have you. You've been very patient with me all year. Thank you so much. Hey, you're a lot less of an ass than most postings, even if you need a bit more polishing. Less of? What are you on about? The other, larger of the two, broke out, clearly not agreeing. He's the nicest drake I've ever served with, and that includes the little ones running around who can't fly yet. So you are coming back next year? Ray questioned cautiously, Tigwan growing an apologetic look. It is not for me to decide. I get orders. I think we can do a thing or two about those orders, Tom added confidently. He believed it too. It wasn't like the Inquisition was going to let a keep on the island stand undefended next year. They wanted eyes on everything they could, after all. They just had to put in a word that Tigwan would do fine for Deriva. Or maybe Heistal. Who knew, really? Maybe the dragons could rotate next year. That could be good, perhaps. Thank you, Tom, the large black dragon replied, giving him a bow which had Ray hanging onto the horns for support. I would be very grateful if I would be allowed back here. We'll make it happen, big guy. Just don't make an enemy of the Inquisition in the meantime, alright? I will do my best, Tigwan promised. Now how about we see getting back to the others? Grevy might have landed already. Some welcoming committee we are sitting out here.
Oh, she won't like that,
Jarex went with a smirk, as Tigwan looked a little more worried. I forgot about her. She will not be happy, will she?
She still has Baron to lick claws on. She'll be alright as long as she's given all the praise and compliments, the blue dragon joked, as he turned to get ready for departure. You want the human, or am I carrying his sorry ass?
What, you trying to sell off your precious fire mage? Tom questioned in jest, as everyone else was either already on Tigwan or were getting on.
I mean, I suppose I did leave you in the mud last time. Maybe I should be nice today and give you a lift.
Oh, it is okay. I can carry him too if you want, Tigwan offered. Because of course he did. It wasn't like 4 people would be a heavy load for a 10-ton dragon, but still, it was the principle of it.
No, I will take him,
Jarex confirmed, looking to Tom and then letting out a chuckle.
Last one to the greeting hall has to listen to Grevy's lecture.
Tigwan made a show of pondering it for a moment, as his ground crew was making their way up to his harness. Hey Tom, what's that over there? Deal, he then let out, turning and setting off at a gallop before getting airborne quickly enough. Tom could swear he saw Ray dangling from one of the horns like a damn flag or something. Both Tom and Jarex simply looked after the black dragon as he climbed away. So, how much lead do you want to give him?
We can spare a few minutes. I think he's got more to worry about than Grevy once he gets back.
Well, all is well that ends well. Tigwan and Jarex had made it back, the black dragon seemingly all cheered up. He'd been a little wary of just what sort of reception he would get once he got back, but when it became known to all the Kirs that Tigwan had somehow beaten Jarex in a race that no one had known they were having, Kieran had led the whole gaggle of kids in declaring just how cool that was. It was soon revealed to be nothing but a ploy so they could be allowed to climb and jump on the poor dragon, but Tigwan sure didn't mind, stretching out a wing for them to use as a trampoline and everything. Grevy had of course greeted the black dragon, if only briefly, hopping up to the greeting hall for a brief chat. She did seem a little miffed, but as soon as she started asking questions about how he'd been getting on with his first posting, She had been scared off by some kids deciding that they wanted to try and climb on the green dragon too. To her credit, she didn't squash any of them, but they were told, firmly, to get off. Lieutenant Sisu escorted off the few who suffered from a case of willful deafness, Grevy soon retreating to more civilized company. Saf did spy her talking with Jarex a little bit later, Tom seemingly having stuck with the blue dragon. Judging by the ears, Jarex wasn't all too happy about it, but Grevy seemed to be enjoying herself, sitting high and mighty as she retold whatever it was she had been up to. For once, Saf didn't mind that she had work to do rather than listen to whatever the green dragon had to say. If half of what Jarex had been saying was true, she was likely recounting training routines or something like that. It was pretty doubtful that much of interest had been happening while helping out a work crew rebuild an old keep in the middle of nowhere after all. But, alas, there was indeed plenty to do for the evening's feast. It had turned into a pretty grand feast by the end of the day. There were fresh meats, fresh bread, some of Tom's funny round root vegetable things he called potatoes. The food was spiced, the tea sweetened, and there was ale, beer, and wine to drink. And that was before one got into all the private things they had to put on the table. The dragons got their deer to enjoy, sans the drill. When pushed, Fengi only said that, well, maybe she will learn something today, or maybe she won't, and carried on with her food. The black dragon was left outside behind the keep, alone and in the cold shadow cast by the keep, and the outcropping on which it sat. The other dragons enjoyed their meal as well as the last vestiges of sunlight, despite the less than stellar weather. Inside the keep, the work crew had eaten as if they had just gotten out of a winter sleep in the slums of a city. It was honestly impressive to watch, and they had all ended up rather plastered thanks to the liberal application of ale and wine. There was widespread agreement that this was quite acceptable. They had worked in isolation for months to restore a keep on the island, and even if they were of course being paid, it seemed like the right thing to show a little appreciation for helping out their friends. Not to mention young Lothal was quite the gentleman, and the sort who didn't mind lending a hand. If he needed to get on top of everything that was to come in the new year, it sure wouldn't hurt if the people who built his keep liked the young man. And so they had eaten and drunk, chatted and laughed. The fires kept them warm and the torches let them see as they feasted. The last one of the year, unless Tom decided otherwise at least. She kinda had a feeling he might pull a surprise on them at some point, but nevertheless they were enjoying their evening immensely. Edita got drunk again, of course, though things ended up a bit more civil this time. Tom was seemingly set on keeping her semi-conscious all evening, and they actually made some progress on the whole teaching the artificer to be a person side project, which they had sort of halfway agreed on trying. The true brainwave had come when Tigwan had been lured up into the greeting hall, after having finished his own dinner so the children could have another play session with the dragon before bed. And so, with Ray busy helping Tigwan keep track of all the children so they didn't hurt themselves, Saf had an idea. Hey, Edita, have you met Tigwan yet? No? Ah, well come on then. Let me introduce you. He is a real gem.